In terms of focusing on children's learning, and that's the biggest gap we are finding, we have to look at it as a systemically what transformations can be brought if we want to really impact on a scale.
Hello and welcome to Up Close and Personal Season 2 here at InvokED Studios, where we dive deep into the heart of leadership, collective action and education equity. I'm your host, Alran Chittadam. Today with us, we have someone who has been a champion for education, someone who has spearheaded several academic reforms and tech initiatives. Of course, it is Miss Sandhya Rani, IPOS officer, former secretary of Department of School Education in Andhra Pradesh. Welcome, ma'am, to the show.
Thank you.
How are you
Very
feeling?
much. Good. Glad. Thank you for having me on this.
Of course. Tell me how your leadership experience has been from when you started in this role as a secretary, from your journey and till now, and especially as a woman, how has your experience been?
Just a small correction. I was Commissioner School Education,
Okay.
not Secretary.
Okay.
And I particularly wanted this job because it is really heading all the operations in school education. Secretary would sit in the government
Right.
and more on policy. It was a tremendous learning experience for me and also a greatly satisfying experience because I had a wonderful team, slowly built up the team. And that was my first stint in education sector, though I've always had passion to work in education. And as we slowly started identifying what are the key issues or the key challenges and what we need to address them. So we picked up about 5-6 key areas and started talking to various stakeholders. Sometimes it's teachers, sometimes it's head teachers or NGOs, civil society organization, experts in the field, academicians. So across the board, and I had different teams working on different themes. And we attempted addressing some of the gaps that we found on the ground. For example, data was a huge gap.
Right.
We had data systems, we
Right.
had different sets of data, but the fact that they were not talking to each other, so
Correct.
different departments within the school education were handling different data, or sometimes we used to again freshly ask data to
Yeah.
be sent from the field. So one of the major initiative we did was school information management system, an integrated database we built so that everybody, that's a single source of truth and
Right.
everybody uses it. It seems like such an obvious thing,
No,
what is so
yeah,
special about it, but at that point of time, this was in 2015, in school education, when we set this up, it was tremendous, tremendously useful for program implementation as well as planning,
Right.
designing schemes, and even identifying dropout children, identifying where the actual enrollment is, what kind of resources should be given, what kind of teacher allocation needs to be done. It really served a great purpose, and it actually saved huge resources. In fact, in 2015, I think about 100 crore in just midday meal management and around 16 crores in textbook printing. We could avoid that.
Right.
Since we identified that there are quite a bit of duplicate enrollment both in private and government schools. So all that we could clean up.
But if you could just talk about your experience, was there a particular moment where your leadership was challenged, and if it was, how do you overcome it? Like about your own journey, yeah.
Many instances. I wasn't really threatened because I was already 25 years into service and knew how to handle different challenges. But we were trying a lot of new initiatives. And we were trying to bring focus onto children's learning, which means some kind of accountability needing to be established, or while we were addressing key issues or challenges individual stakeholders were facing. So one of the challenges was I myself didn't know the field completely.
Right.
When you talk of learning outcomes, what it is, how it is, what are the competencies, what are the academic part of it, what are the non-academic areas. So that's why I say it was a great learning experience for me personally.
Right.
When we were trying a new way of implementing midday meal program, there were a lot of influences from vested interests trying to change the terms and conditions of contracting and all that. But we were able to smoothly address them. Teachers also initially were skeptical that they felt huge load of work was coming on them. But when we had series of discussions, involved them in designing programs, we could address it. So that's how it happened. For me, personal journey was, there was an initial skepticism and mistrust, but once the team and the internal stakeholders realized that we're having a longer vision and we all can be part of this and make a difference, there was tremendous cooperation.
That's so nice.
It was very satisfying.
In all these work, all this, you talk about the initiatives and the programs. How do you look at scaling? Where does the numbers stop and the deeper engagement begin?
Very good question. Actually, numbers, yes, they're important. Scale, because you're actually handling across the state.
Right.
So there were 65,000 schools and barely about 15,000 are in private sector, baki sab. And in government school education, you're both policy maker, you're regulator, you're also service provider.
Right.
So you have to deal with different levels, this thing. But one principle that I've always worked on was, whichever positions of leadership I was handling is, God is in detail. Scale is important because you have to find solutions at scale.
Right.
Your guidelines need to be clear when you're designing something. But God really is in details. And that's where I used to emphasize and indicate to my team. And whenever we developed or designed something or guidelines, we really, but that was one North Star that really guided me.
That's such a great line, God is in details, and I like how you bring in the forum of space. What does, when you talk about same, just to double click on, when we look at the next few years, what do you have in mind? What is your vision for the next few years?
Personally.
If you want to see education heading in a certain direction, what would it be?
We all aware it's a very complex field, so not a straightforward and simple answer. But government has a major role to play, and I think our focus should be on quality. We've done a lot in terms of infrastructure, fairly decent job, and an excellent access we have created for education, school education.
Right.
But I think increasingly we must focus on quality,
right?
In terms of teacher quality, in terms of pre-service and within the after joining as teachers, in terms of focusing on children's learning, and that's the biggest gap we are finding. So children's learning outcomes, how do we improve? What kind of remediation we will provide for them? What kind of different ways of learning opportunities we create for them.
Right.
And third piece is early childhood education is a very key and a critical area. I think we need to invest a lot more. Correct. As a country, as a community. Still a large number of children go to Anganwadi centers where the quality of nutrition and health services are very good, fairly good, but education piece really needs us to work on. And ultimately, I think we have to look at it as a systemically what transformations can be brought if we want to really impact on a scale.
Correct.
That's where on system strengthening, identifying within the system what are the bottlenecks that need to be addressed. I think that's what I will be involved in and doing that kind of work. But there are all certain collaborations, everything one, but I still also believe in the power of one. So it's not just the systems and the bigger scale you're working on. You still can make a difference in your small village or in your small community or to a couple of students.
Yes.
So I'd like to be involved across.
That's so nice to hear.
Yeah.
You mentioned this point of collaboration. On that front, how do platforms like InvokED come into the picture? How can they benefit the ecosystem?
I think it's a fantastic platform that InvokED creates, and many similar kind of forums. You get all stakeholders to come and all players to come and share their experiences and what kind of work they had done, what kind of challenges they faced and what solutions they found. So you have philanthropists, you have funders, you have CSR, you have academicians, government servants. So it's a fantastic forum, I think. Right. And we are all the time finding, we need to find innovative solutions for something that's been there. It's we're not talking something new. Collaboration, I personally believe that while, as I said, power of one is important, there's nothing much that can go forward without partnership and collaboration. Yes. And these forums actually foster, nurture and promote that kind of
which is
opportunity.
In essence what is the InvokED about. Speaking of InvokED, the folks who are here, the speakers, the guests, they have few questions. for leaders such as yourself. So if you see, we have these 4 jars, each having a different theme. What I would request you to do is, if you could just take any chit from any of these bowls and read the question aloud and answer it, that'll be really nice.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I think you've already asked this question. Share a moment when you overcame a challenge and what you learned from it.
Anything other than what you already said? You can maybe something in a personal life.
One of the first challenge, I have had 35 years in government, so dealt with across the board. One of the first challenge was dealing with strong unions, both in postal services as well as teacher unions in government. We didn't really get taught on how to handle this kind of very organized trade unions. It was not so much part of our training. So one really was sort of taken aback when such ferocious, strong pushback comes on whatever little improvements you're trying to do. And I think one way is I quickly realized that they're as much playing a role as I'm playing a role.
Right.
I'm here to see that the system moves forward in a positive way and it achieves its objectives. They're also there to be part of it, but they also have some genuine concerns, and I need to understand what they are. And whatever is within my power, I should do something about it, if not push it up or whatever. And then there was no animosity. But initially I was thinking they are pushing me too much.
Right.
Once I had this understanding, it was more easier to collaborate. I think that's how I overcame that challenge.
Which brings to your earlier point about how at the end of the day, all of this is about the different key players. The unions are nothing but a key player in the ecosystem.
And it also is the kind of jobs, different jobs you're doing, it always throws up an opportunity to learn new things.
Correct, yeah.
And let me tell you, none of us within the government also have a single solution for any problem.
Right.
We're all the time learning and then identifying how to find a solution.
Yeah, I mean, there shouldn't be also a one solution. You should always keep trying for new solutions, see what works, see what doesn't work. At the end of the day, it's what the trial and error matters.
Absolutely. True.
Just out of curiosity, is there one movie that you resonate with really well when let's say when it comes to your job? The one movie you're like, oh yeah, I resonate with it?
Quite a few. Education, I think Tare Zameen Par really touched me.
Yeah.
Even Piku touched me. About how somebody from a different world comes and negotiates and deals and understands this world. But about learning and environment in education, lot of them. About Well Done Abba, I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I'm not.
It's a Shyam Benegal movie on how a massive scale of government program like digging up new wells really gets diluted when you actually face the venal nature of the local government. It's a beautifully done film. So I've always drawn inspiration. I think Manthan is a great inspiration. What kind of a movement it led to, that within the system it shows the power of one, it also shows the power of collaboration. So many.
We're so happy with the re-release of Manthan in theatres, and so many young folks got to see it.
And lots of them.
Also on that note, any book that you personally really like?
Many again. Stones in the Schools, I don't know if you've heard of that.
Anything that our audience should go and check out, if they're interested in the space or in your role for that matter, anything that they should read?
In terms of autobiographies, the one that really inspired me was, of course, Gandhiji, Nelson Mandela, always The Long Road to Freedom of Mandela, definitely. And I Too Have a Dream is by Dr. Varghese Kurian, the man behind Amul. It's a very inspiring book for me. Any number of times I read. Then there's an interesting book again of Nobel. I don't remember the first name. Leaving Microsoft to Change the World. It's again young IT professionals and business leaders. He's the guy who started this foundation, Room to Read. Very interesting to read how he actually started. Then there's another one, how he brought education into the most difficult Himalayan belt in Pakistan and other areas. 3 cups of tea.
Okay.
Quite recent, maybe 15 years old. 3 cups of tea.
Okay.
Very inspiring.
That's so nice. It's so nice to see a glimpse of what inspires you, what piques your interest. My final question would be this: if you have to give a message for tomorrow, a hope for a young audience who are watching, what would it be?
I think young people, you're doing a great job. I actually have great hope whenever I see in these kind of forums on activists among you all. I feel very, very inspired. I come from a generation who grew up in the 70s and 80s, and our universities were thriving spaces for activism and ideas. But over the years, as all old people get addled, but I think it's the young who bring in the energy. Whatever area, things have changed a lot. Technology has isolated in a way as well as brought all of us together. We become very independent in the way we deal with things, my kind of a feeling, as well as this concern for society, this interest in wanting to make a difference, and also having the skill and knowledge to make it happen.
Right.
I used to initially think unless all of us physically come together, we can't achieve. But I see a lot of youngsters creating a platform, kind of a e-chowpal kind of a thing, and sharing solutions and experiences and making a difference. Keep making a difference, and all the best.
That's such a lovely message. Thank you so much.
Sure.
On that note, thank you so for your stories, your insights, and your wisdom. This generally means a lot, and we hope we carry it forward. Thank you to our audience for tuning in. Stay connected, keep the dialogue going, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.